All right, hey y'all, I'm back. This is part two of Single Mom Hack Grocery Shopping and Meal Planning. So on video number one, we talked about grocery shopping and what staples you should keep in your fridge, your freezer, your pantry at all times. And on this video, we're going to be talking about meal planning. Now, you have two options for meal planning. You can either do this, which is what I do now. And that's basically Monday is the day that I do it, and Monday is a cooking day. I will pick two different meals, and I will cook 3 of each of those meals, and that gives 6 days worth of meals. And I put them in the fridge, and the kids just heat them up at night and eat them. Okay, like it just saves a lot of time. So you can do that once a week and just make enough meals to get you through the week. Pick 2 meals so that way every other day you can alternate. Or you can just cook fresh meals every single day. All right. Now I am going to share 3 meals with you on this video, but the ingredients that I had on my list from the previous video, you can mix and match that to make all kinds of different stuff and get creative. Okay. Like I said, remember, God is the creator of the universe, right? He created everything that we see and cannot see, right? So tap into that creativity and use these ingredients to make simple, tasty, healthy, smart meals for you and your family. But I am going to share with you 3, all right? Now, the first one is quesadillas. Now, quesadillas, super simple, okay? You can have these for breakfast, or, if you want to have them for breakfast, but it's more of like a lunch or dinner. You can have these for lunch or for dinner. So all you do is you just take the tortilla. First, you take a pan, a saucer, and you want to oil it. I use cooking spray to oil it. It's just the easiest thing, but you can use a little bit of oil or a little bit of butter on the pan, and you want to cook it on like low, like medium low, like super medium low. And just put the tortilla on the oiled pan, and then you want to sprinkle some cheese on the tortilla before it gets too hot, because you don't want the tortilla to cook faster than the cheese to melt, because it takes a while for the cheese to melt. So you just want to make sure that as soon as you put the tortilla on the pan, you put the cheese. Now you can put as much cheese as you want. If you want, you can read the label on the back and see what it says a serving of cheese is, and you can do like that, like a serving or 2 servings. I don't know what the cheese label says a serving is, because I didn't read it. I'm sorry about that. But put some cheese, cover it about maybe 3/4 of the tortilla, cover that with cheese, and then you want to take chicken or whatever meat. We use chicken. I just so happen to have some leftover chicken from for some chicken breast. So I just put some of the strips from the chicken breast on top of there. And then once the cheese starts to melt, then you want to be checking for like the tortilla. It doesn't take very long, like 3 to 5 minutes. At this point, once I put everything on, I've cranked up the heat to maybe medium-ish. So I went from medium low to like a true medium. And then once the cheese starts to melt, you want to go ahead and fold the tortilla on top of itself to make, the classic quesadilla that you would get like at at Taco Bell. And then you just want to like let that cook for a few minutes on one side, and then you'll flip it on the other side real quick, and then boom, you have a quesadilla, y'all. One of the most simplest things to make. Takes less than 10 minutes. And then you want to use I have a pizza cutter, or you can use a knife and just cut it in 3 triangles. And then you can have that with rice or corn or some kind of vegetable on the side, or just have it by itself. It's pretty it's pretty filling on its own, honestly. And so that's one meal, simple meal that you can make with the ingredients that I share with you in the previous video. All right. The next meal is gonna be raviolis. So I have raviolis and meatballs and a vegetable on the side. All right. So the raviolis, they're very, very simple to make. So what I actually do with the raviolis is I look at the label, and the label says, for this particular one, it says that 8 raviolis is a serving. So whatever the serving size is, I usually will go to above that. So this says 8. So I'm going to cook 10 raviolis. And so all you have to do is just, you boil them, not like a fast rolling boil. Once they get to a fast rolling boil, you want to actually turn it down to like a simmer. And you just do that for 5 minutes. Now these instructions are on the back of the bag. But anyways, you simmer it for about 5 minutes, and then you drain it and you put your favorite sauce on it. Okay. Now I'm using meatballs here, but you can use ground beef if you have ground beef. My ground beef was just frozen, and I just didn't feel like thawing it out or waiting for it to thaw out. So I'm just using the meatballs here. Now, again, look on the back of the label. What is the serving size? This one says the serving size is 6 meatballs. So I'm going to cook 8 meatballs, and you can cook them in the oven or in the microwave or on the stove in the sauce. I personally prefer to cook them in the oven, just because I like the way that they, like the texture, the texture's different depending on how you cook it. I like the texture, the way that it comes out in the oven. So just follow the instructions on the back of the bag for how to cook these. And if you want to make your own meatballs, then go for it, right? I know how to make my own meatballs, y'all. Okay, it's not that I don't know how to make my own meatballs. It's just I'm just trying to keep it simple here. So if you want to make your own meatballs, go for it. Get some ground beef and season it and roll them up in some balls, and then put them in the oven and make some real meatballs and freeze them. And then whenever you want to make like meals with meatballs, then you have your own fresh homemade frozen meatballs. Go for it. But for the purpose of this recipe, we're using frozen meatballs. Okay. And then you want to have your meat, vegetable, starch. Okay. Like 3-course meal. And so the vegetable is, just get one of your frozen vegetables. We have broccoli, we have the California mix, we have asparagus, we have Brussels sprouts, whatever vegetable you want. Go ahead, and now the Aldi bags, they're steamable. So you can either put them in the microwave in the bag for like 5 or 6 minutes and just steam them that way, and then season them and put them on the plate. Or you can steam them. So for the purpose of this video, just to show you, in case you've never used a vegetable steamer, here it is. It's just a metal little round dome thing that flattens out when you put it in the pan, and you just want to put enough water at the bottom of the pan to where it will like boil up and make steam. You don't want the water to be like above the metal steamer. You want it to be like below the metal steamer. And then you just put the vegetables on top. I put season on top of the vegetables before I cook them. Like I put them on there frozen, and then just cover it, and I cook it on like a medium high. Once it starts boiling, I let it boil for about maybe 3 minutes or so. I think that's usually long enough, I don't like for my vegetables to be super soggy. So once it boils, maybe wait 3 minutes, and then I just turn it off, and then I let the steam finish cooking the vegetables for about like another 5 minutes or so, and then it's usually the right texture. Now, if you like your vegetables like super soft, then go for it. Let it cook for a little bit longer. But personally, I would say like it's about like 10 minutes max of cooking time. Like it takes just maybe 3 minutes for it to boil. Once it starts boiling, another 3 minutes, and then just turn it off, and then just let the steam cook it for 5 minutes, still with the top on. And then they look like this when they are done. And so you have ravioli with your favorite sauce, meatballs, and a vegetable on the side. Again, if you want to use ground beef and make like a meat sauce, go for it and just put that on top of the ravioli and eat it that way. And then the last meal, but certainly not the least meal, is the chicken, the leg quarters. So the leg quarters, I actually will cut them. So I will cut the drumstick from the thigh. And here's how you do that right there. You just, you kind of find the place in the middle and you just cut the knife through it and separate them. And that gives you even more chicken. So then you can, this part is optional. You can either take the skin off or leave the skin on. I choose to take the skin off. And again, that's like a healthier option, but skin on is kind of cool, because what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna broil them, and broiling in the oven actually kind of makes the meat crispy, almost like you fried it. So if you have the skin on, then you have like that crispy skin and it's really good. But I'm just taking the skin off for this one. But then you want to season first, right? Now when I season, what I do is I take like my favorite spices, whatever they are, and I just take like maybe a half a teaspoon and I just put them all in a bowl, just one by one. And then once I have them all in a bowl, I stir them up, and then that's my seasoning, and it's a dry rub. And I'm gonna just put that on my chicken and just rub it on there really good on my chicken before I broil it in the oven. Now, if you've never broiled anything, do it. It's so good. Like, broiling is so good. If you like fried chicken, then like broiling is like the next best thing. Now, if you notice in the background, you'll see that I have the other leg quarters in a freezer bag. Get you some freezer bags. Get different sizes. I have quart size, gallon size, and then I also have like I think it's 2 gallon size, really, really big bags. You just don't see them pictured here, but get you some freezer bags because with all of that meat, you don't want to freeze the whole bag of 10 pounds of chicken. You want to separate them. So open the bag, the 10-pound bag, and then you want to separate it in smaller bags and then freeze them. I freeze 3/4 at a time because I have a family of 3. So I'll just freeze 3/4, and then whenever I need to cook it, I just take it out, and it's just easier to thaw out those 3 pieces of leg quarters rather than a whole big old 10-pound bag. Another thing you can do is you can actually season them before you freeze them. So that way they're already seasoned. And then when you thaw them out, or you can even cook them frozen, you can put them in the oven frozen and they're already seasoned and they'll just come out tasting really good. So that's another thing that you can do to be smart, to save yourself time and money and energy and thought of like having to think about what's for dinner when you know that you already have seasoned frozen chicken that all you have to do is take it out of the bag and put it in the oven. You're good to go. When I broil these, I broil them on high about 20-25 minutes on each side, and that's how you know that the chicken is done and ready. And then for this one, I am going to have cheesy potatoes on the side. And so with these potatoes, all I'm doing is I have 2 red potatoes, and I'm just chopping them up in 4. And then I'm just going to boil them. I'm just going to boil the potatoes, put a lot of salt in the water, just so that the potatoes aren't bland and they have some salt when they come out. And then once they're soft enough, you'll know that they're ready. Just check it every few minutes. Just stick a fork in them. Once a fork goes in them like easily, then the potatoes are ready. You don't want them to be too soft because then you're not making mashed potatoes, right? But you want them to be still kind of firm, but like soft enough to where a fork can just go in them like this right here. And then I just like drain them, take the water out, and put some butter and stir that up. And then I'll just season them. I put on here, I just put some Cajun seasoning, but you can season them whatever you want, or don't season them at all because you already have salt on them. And then just sprinkle some cheese on it while it's still hot. So that way the cheese will just kind of melt. And then once the cheese is melted, you are done. And then for the second vegetable, because a potato is a vegetable, you know, but for the second vegetable, I'm gonna do corn for this one. Now you could do corn on the cob. My kids love corn on the cob, or you could just do regular corn. I'm just gonna do regular frozen sweet corn, and just read the directions on the bag, right? Like, what is a serving? They say a serving is 2/3 cups. So I have like a cup of corn, and you just put a little bit of water, like a 1/4 cup of water, and just boil it. Put a little bit of seasoning, whatever you want, salt and pepper or whatever, and just let them boil for a few minutes, like it says on the back of the bag. And then boom, you have a meal: chicken, cheesy potatoes, and corn. All right. Now, all of these meals, y'all, take, each of them take less than an hour, right? The chicken takes a little while because you have to flip them, you know, like 25 minutes on each side. So the chicken takes a little while to cook. But, you know, the potatoes and the corn and the ravioli and the meatballs, like, it doesn't really take too much time, too much energy, too much thought to make these meals. Very, very simple, smart, moderately healthy, and economical meals. So here you go. These are the 3 meals. You tell me in the comments, how would you use these ingredients, and what different type of meals would you make? All right. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you on the next video.